chapter 10, Joshua chapter 10, verse 12, one more time. So, Az Yidaber Yehoshua L'Hashem, then Yehoshua spoke to Hashem. Biyom, on the day, Ted Hashem et Hamari, that Hashem gave the Amorites, Lefnei Bnei Israel, before Bnei Israel. In other words, the Israelites had defeated the Amorites. The Yomer Le'nei Israel, and he said before all of Israel, Shemesh Begivon Dom, the sun should be silent or stay or remain in Givon, V'yareach be'emek Ayalon, and the moon should stay in the valley of Ayalon. Rashi says, first of all, what does it mean that Yeshua spoke to God? It means Amashira Tachad Hashemesh. Yeshua was saying the song to Hashem instead of the sun. Why? Because the sun, he says, Rashi continues, the sun, he told the sun to be quiet. And what's he to be quiet from? To be quiet from saying the song to Hashem. Every creature on this planet, as well as the universe, sings a song to Hashem of praise. Sings a song of praise to Hashem. That's where you have, we have a book called Perek Hashira, the chapter of songs, in which it goes through what what everything says to Hashem, animate and inanimate objects. And so he's saying to the sun, be quiet from saying your song. And he explains, he continues to say, V'chol zaman shehu domim, all the time that the sun is silent, it stands where it is and it cannot move. Because as long as it moves, it will be singing a song to Hashem. That's your midrash. Okay. Now the pshat, the simple understanding is, wait. Let that dome is the language of wait, and he's telling the sun, stop where you are. Okay. Either way, the sun is stopping midstream. For those people, wherever they are, it's always going to be 2 o'clock or whatever it is. You know, if it's dark, the sun is not coming up. The sun is staying where it is. How this is actually going to work is going to be an interesting thing to figure out. You know, because we circle the moon. We circle the sun. So that means that our planet had to be stationary to where the sun is. And even if you want to argue that we don't know really what's moving, so therefore the sun is moving around the sun.
If the sun stops in the sky, the earth stops revolving.
Correct.
What happens to our gravity?
For those, okay, so that's interesting because that was brought up with another class. So gravity, what makes gravity? Is gravity, and by the way, this is a scientific question, this is not my question. Somebody else brought it up to me, I was amazed that there's even an argument. Because I was always taught that because of the revolutions, what's called rotation of the earth, that's what causes the gravity. But then they told me, no, that is not true. According to some scientific stuff out there, that, theories. It's not a matter of the spinning. It's a matter of magnetic pull. Once you're going to tell me that science is having an argument, I'm walking away. I'm not going to get involved. I didn't see it. I don't know it. I can't tell you. I don't know. It'll be an interesting thing to look at, but ultimately, say it again, please?
Scientists still don't know what gravity is.
They don't know a lot of things. So now it's a matter of trying to figure out how it works.
Also, I've heard the question asked decades ago, okay, if we're spinning around and that creates the gravity, what happens to centrifugal force? Why doesn't everything just get hurled away? How does that create the gravity?
Oh, so they say that's the point, that there's something pulling it down. There's something pulling it down. So they have to figure out what's pulling it down. So is it a magnetic pull?
That's rotating, doesn't really.
Right, so
this is for the moon.
Something's
pulling it down.
Something's pulling it down. Because otherwise, you would think it would go out.
You're attracting the Earth as much as the Earth is attracting you. It's just you don't have that much weight.
Right.
You don't have that much mass.
So there's a whole theory out there as to how these things actually work. Okay, so now, like I said, so that's one. So either, like I said, either planet Earth is stopping and is. Sorry.
They found the subatomic particle responsible for gravity, like the Higgs boson thing.
Like I said, I don't know how you're going to explain it. Right, I don't know how you're going to explain it. However it is, one of the celestial bodies had to stop in its tracks. So he's telling the sun to stop, so the sun is stopping. Okay, it could just simply mean that the Earth is stopping. It could mean a lot of things, and because everything's moving. So once everything's moving, what's moving around what? So ancient man certainly would have thought that the sun is moving around the moon. Sun's moving around the Earth. But whichever case is going to be, something stopped. Okay, and the moon stopped in, like I said, the valley of Ayalon. So now let's go right to the Malbim. The Malbim is a long Malbim, but we have to understand it to know what's going on. So he says, "Az Yidaber," what's going on? Behold, in the parsha of Ki Tison, the section of Ki Tison, the Torah, Moshe davened to Hashem, and he said, "If I find favor in your eyes, Hashem, let Hashem go in our midst." Which means to say, when he said, what does it mean to go in our midst? It means that Hashem should reveal His supervision of us, and that it should be attached to us without any intermediary, so that the wars will not be fought in a natural manner through an angel, only through miracles. Okay, so what Hashem was asking for, I don't want an angel to lead us through into war. What I want is for miracles. Hashem answered him, and he said, "Behold, I'm making a covenant with you that I will do wonders that were never created that weren't created in the whole world and all the nations." And all the nations, and the whole nation that you are in the midst will see the actions of Hashem, that they are inspiring to inform you, to inform them that he has fulfilled Moshe's request, and he informs him that the wonders will take care of three things. Okay, one, that the wonders will be done with them, will be revealed and known throughout the whole nation. That's number one. And how does he know that? Because it says, "Neged kolam chashen neflaot," opposite your whole nation, I will do the wonders. That's number one. Number two, that all the wonders there would have been no example of them until now. And that's what it says, that they were not created. Because why does the Malbim have to do that, by the way? When it says, I haven't created it, we're not yet created. Because what would we say? We say in Mishlei, Ein Chadash Tachat Hashemesh. There's nothing new under the sun. So if you're going to say there's nothing new under the sun, that means that everything had to be created already, and is just being put into place at certain times. That's why Rashi says, in Parsha Bereshit, as well as the Ramban, everybody's arguing the same sort of thing actually, that everything was created Yesh Me'ayin on the first day, and then just put into place on the separate days. Okay, so that's also here. It's not that Hashem is creating it from anew, but rather there was never any example of the wonders that are about to be done at this juncture. And the third one, that it should not only be seen by the Jews, but rather everybody should see it. And that's why it says in the verse, in all the lands and amongst all the non-Jews, the nations, until everybody knows the actions of Hashem. Okay, so that's going to be the status of how Hashem completes His promise to Moshe and the Jewish people, that He will be always in our midst, and there will be wonders that nobody's ever seen before, and now everybody's going to see it, all to reinforce the fact that Hashem is fighting on our behalf. Okay, that's the three things. Fine. Then it says, then it also says, guard for yourself. It says like this. Guard, be careful, guard yourself for that which I command you today. And it says, behold, I will drive out the Amorites from before you, etc. So guard yourself lest you make a covenant with them to teach us, that these wonders that he will do in the time of the conquest of the 7 nations, the first among them will be the Amorites. And then he says, Vayomer Hashem Moshe, that Hashem said to Moshe, write down these words for yourself, ki al pi hadavar me'eleh, because through these words, or via these words, however you want to say that, karti idcha brit v'et Israel, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. And the explanation is that Hashem is commanding him to write down this parsha, because through these words the covenant was made, which means that when it says, behold, I am writing this covenant opposite you, that I will, your nation, that I will do wonders, through these words, through these things, which means if they, the Bnei Israel, the Jews, do not maintain their side of the agreement, so then God will not keep his part of the agreement. He won't do those wonders that he spoke about. So Moshe wrote this in the book. The Sefer Zekra Po B'Shem, the Sefer Yashar. And that book is what we call Sefer Yashar. Kibo, with the book of the just, because that is Kibo HaYesharim L'Lechet B'Orashem, because the just people walk with the light of Hashem. The and through this, Sheyesh Seichel, that they'll put Seichel there, he'll put enlightenment, and he'll understand these verses, what is going on. Ra'a Yoshua ki Hashem nilcham lahem b'mri, and so now Hashem, Yoshua is seeing it when Hashem fights against the Amorites, which Hashem ed habrit, which means that Hashem is going to complete or fulfill the covenant that he made with Moshe, that he wrote in the Sefer Yashar, to make the miracles open and public. Okay, so again, just to review for you, that what Yoshua asked was for the sun to stand still, right? So the Malbim is asking a question, and he's saying, what's going on here? Why such miracles? And he goes back to when Moshe asked Hashem to fight in their midst, not via malachim, not via angels, but only himself, to show that he was always with us. So Hashem said, yes, I will do it, in the 3 manners. One, I'm going to, what was the first one again? One was that it'll be, help me out there, you go. Oh, where is it? Here it is. So one is that the wonders will be done, they will be open and known to all the nation. It'll be done in front of the nation, and all the nations of the world will know them. Okay, that's what all these wonders are going to be. So by holding the sun in its place, and however you're going to do it, whichever model we're using, either the moon, the earth is the center of the universe, or a center of our solar system, and therefore the sun's going around us. Or if you want to go with the other model, that the sun, which I would rather go with, by the way, that the earth is going around the sun. I think we pretty much established that. So either way, something stopped here. Something stopped. And it's showing that these are the wonders that Hashem is showing because of the covenant they made. But the covenant was also conditional, which meant that as long as we do what we have to do, then Hashem will do what he has to do. Okay? So then, now we're back to this, and then it says, then Joshua spoke to Hashem, Levav Hizkir Brit Shakarad, what does he say to Hashem? This matter, he mentions the covenant that was made on the day that God gave the Amorites before the people of Israel, Shehu Rishon Min Ha'amim, which was the first of the nations, Shechashav Sham Sefer Yashar, that was talked about in this book of the Just. V'neged Tanai HaRishon, opposite the original, the first Tanai, the first condition, that was said to him, Nege Kolamcha Esed Niflaot, opposite the whole your whole nation, I will do these wonders. And so he says in front of Bnei Israel, Ama Yeshua, Zot Kol B'Kol Ram Shishmu Kol Yisrael. He did this so that everybody, all the Jews should hear. V'neged Shnei Tanaim HaAchevim, and that's corresponds to the second of the two conditions. Amar Shemesh B'Givon Dom. He said, let the sun stop in Givon. That completes when Hashem said He would do wonders that were never before created, because, and He says, something like this was never done before, He says. And therefore, and all of the nations and all of the world saw this. Because the nace of Hashem, this nace of Hashem was known from the east all the way where it goes. In other words, think about it, the guy in China. Okay, if there's people in China. The guy in China, or wherever the opposite of the world would be of Israel, never is leaving dark. It should be dark, it should be light, right? Okay, and even though the clocks, even though the moon, something's not moving, something's stuck where it is, your sleep is still going to be disturbed. Right? You're waking up, you've had this 12 hours of sleep. You wake up and you say, wow, it's still dark, what's going on here? What happened to the world? Like I said, when you think about it, I also don't know how that would work with tides. I can imagine a lot of things would be destroyed with this. Okay, so the fact that everything is standing still really shows Hashem's power over the world and everything else. That all our science, we're taking this literally at this point. So it's if I'm taking it very literally, then what is showing is that these laws of nature that we have determined are being held back because God ultimately is the one who runs them. Right? So if He wants it not to work as we understand it should work, that can also happen.
So about this comment he makes here, that he says, the first comment he makes, Joshua's causing the sun to stop in its orbit, one of those famous miracles of the Bible. Says, indeed, this event is even chronicled in the contemporary literatures of other cultures.
Okay. You have to understand. Like I said, I don't know how it worked. It's supposed to be for 24 hours, but it's.
If other cultures have chronicled something like this, something's going on.
Right. No, clearly something happened. What I'm saying is how it worked. I don't know.
Let's say something happened celestially,
right,
whatever it was, and maybe it was perceived as the sun and the moon standing still somehow.
Either that or really did.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. We're assuming that it actually did stand still, but like I said, I don't. When you would ask me scientifically to explain why all these things didn't happen, the answer is Hashem didn't want it to happen. That's not a scientific explanation. That's a religious answer. But it's also showing who's in control. Again, all these things that Hashem does to nature, flips it on his head, according to us, that would just be Hashem showing He's large and in charge, period. And so we just have to accept what was going on and accept what they were saying. But like I said, if somebody's going to ask me, what do you do about the tidal wave? What do you do about this? What do you do about it? I don't know. I don't do anything about it. I just read the book. I don't lose sleep over it, right?
Either we have to do something about it, as certain people say, or we don't have to do anything about it, as other people say.
Right.
So
I wouldn't lose sleep over it. That's my point. I wouldn't lose sleep over not being able to explain it. Okay. V'hinei, and behold. let's continue on with this. So I'm still in the Malbim. And he said he only asked for the sun and the moon to stand still alone. He didn't ask every other celestial body to remain where it was. Because that wouldn't be such a big deal. And the biggest wonder would have been the celestial spheres that impact on us. So he didn't remove from the orbit all these stars that go around them. That wasn't it. Only the two celestial things, such as the sun and the moon. They had to stand where they were. So here he says it's comparable to the wheel of the mill that is when you stop the water from flowing, it stops the wheel. Okay. So that malachik done. This is a small workings. But this second one is comparable to like a strong person that comes and holds in his hand the wheels of this millstone, while the water is being restraining from it. And he is held back by its own. It's holding back by its own strength, and so what happens? So it stops it from moving. And this is greater strength. Asa Yeshua, and this is what your Joshua did. He stopped the movement of the sun and the moon, sun and the moon, right? Hagam she'ofen yomim heniya umashach evarim bekochol raton. It was a matter of the days that were stopped and dragging of these things with his power, with God's power. That's why the sun stood opposite at that point opposite Givon, and the moon opposite Ayalon, and Shiva Shidumo Mitunotam, and he commanded them to stop their movements. And our rabbis explain in Shilatam in their interpretations. Amrudom Milomar Shira. Again, this is going back to what Rashi said. But he said to be silent, it meant stop singing the song that you sing to Hashem. The Amru Azid Be Yeshua the Hashem Sh'amar Shu Tachat Shnei Ha'orot. And that's when Joshua said he is going to sing the song to Hashem in place of the two celestial bodies. Ki Pu'ulot HaNevraim Kifi Tava'am Hi Hashir Shlehem Pu'ulatam HaTavit. Because the workings of these things that were created, they sing according to their nature, if you will, their makeup. That's what they sing about. They sing about their natural doings. So Yisapru Kavod Ekhel, they speak about the honor of the king. Asher Kanan Teva Zobikirabam V'Yamideh L'Chok Ba'altimosh. And so they speak about that and they stand there and without stopping. Ushvitat Pulatam Atavit Hi Demama Shirazo. And they're stopping from their movement, as it were. Their natural movement is what it meant by silencing their song, which is again what Rashi said. While it moves, it sings. If it doesn't move, it doesn't sing. But and after this stopping, it was only called by the choice of Yeshua, Yisrael Mishartav, and Yisrael is his servants, when they do God's will. Laharot ki al yadam yishaded hamarafet v'hashkafto, that Hashem can stop all these movements with his power. In Cain, Hayazashira Nifla Yotem Yishira Tavai. So if that's the case, then the song that we're about to sing, that God is controlling everything, is greater even than the natural songs. And that was the song that Joshua sang. Okay? So what the Melvin is saying is, he's not explaining how things work, because nobody knows.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Okay? What he is saying is based upon the Midrash and other things, that what we're doing was, where Joshua is singing a song, that's Azidaber Yeshua, he's singing a song to Hashem, and he's at the same time saying, I'll sing the song, stop the sun and the moon, or as the old movie went, stop the world, I want to get off. Okay. But it's, I don't know who sang that, but I know that was one of the old songs. But it's, that would be how we have to understand that really did happen. And Arshko wants to argue that there are other cultures who also said that there was this 24-hour day. They all speak about different cultures. If they do, it's a clear proof that it actually did happen. Okay? Again, how it happened, what was the result of it happening, I have no idea. If anything was strange. And the truth is, if anything strange happened, then they would just say that is a natural thing. When nothing strange happened, it just that it stood there for longer than it should have stood there, so that would have been the greater miracle. So I'm guessing that nothing really happened to the earth if it did stop. It would be so interesting to find out how science, besides rejecting all of Torah, would look at this story and say, well, this is what it meant. That would be the interesting thing. So for all the Apocryphal out there, let them come and tell me what happened. Okay. Next verse. So it says, Vayidom, I shouldn't call him Apocryphal, but okay. Vayidom Hashem. So the sun was silent, V'ayareach, or it stopped. V'ayareach amad, and the mood stood where it was. Ad yikom goy oivav, until the until the nation revenged or stood up against his enemy. Hello, Hiketuva al Sefer Yasha. Behold, surely is written in the book of the just. V'ya'amod Hashemesh b'chatzia Hashemesh, and the sun stood in the half point of the sky. V'lo atz lavo v'yom tamim, and it didn't hurry. It didn't hurry to go the full day like it normally would. In other words, it didn't run to go to to sunset. Okay, that's what it says. Didn't run to go to sunset. It didn't move quickly to go to sunset. 13.
Still, right, and the sun's movement ceased, and the moon stood still.
Yeah, keep going until the end.
People took retribution against her. I mean, okay. The book of Yashar says, so the sun stood still in the midst of the heaven and did not hasten to set for her.
Okay, good. I was just trying to know how they translate that. Okay. So Rashi explains, surely it's written, he says, Davar zanichta b'Torah. This is written in the Torah, as it says, Sha'ama lo Yaakov Yosef. Jacob said to Joseph, Zaro shel Ephraim yemal that what he's giving a blessing to Yosef's children. He said that Ephraim's children should be filling the world. In Matai, when B'yom she'amda chama Yoshua, on the day that Joshua stopped the sun from, because Joshua is from Ephraim, right? It's his great grandfather. So Nitmali called the Olam Shim'o Shel Yoshua. So the whole world knew about the reputation of Yoshua. V'yamod Hashemesh b'chatzi Shemaim, and the sun stood in the half point of the sky. V'ashlavo k'yom tamim, and it didn't hurry to set like the other days. Okay, so that's how Rashi understands it. When it comes to the Malvim, so Malvim says like this: Vayidom Hashemesh v'yarev amad ma'am arzu mizgar. This statement is a closed statement. L'chein ba'al milat amad b'kamat shemora ala hefsek lemod shuhud ma'am muzgar kenoda v'chlal hashon. Okay, fine. He gives you a grammatical point. Shior katuv, so the measure of the pasuk. And he said, Joshua says the sun is in Givon, it's to stay there. The moon and Emek Ayalon, until the nation got revenge or stood up, got up against the enemy. Surely it's written in the book of Yashar. So called them Yeshua. All this Joshua said, and that which was written, that the sun was stopped and the moon stood where it was. Hu divrei akotev sefer shenase kedevar Yeshua. This is the words that were written in the book that was made by the word of Joshua. Shlo nitakev hanes ad shegamar kol devarav, and the miracle did not stop till all of the words or all the things were completed. Rak be'ed she'amar Hashem givon dom v'rega zu damam Hashem. And he says only in the time that he said that the sun should stay in Givon. At that moment, the sun stopped. Be'ed she'amar shereh be'emek elon v'rega zot damam yirech. And the time that he told the moon that should stay in the valley of Elon, at that point, that's when it stopped. Zebir Devarav. This is the explanation of Joshua's words. Amar Shemesh begivon dom ad sheyikon goy me'avad. So he says what does he mean? That the sun should stay in Givon, right high in the sky, until we get revenge, until we conquer our enemies. Sheyedumu Hashemesh yareach ad gamar nekama. That they should not move until we finish the revenge or get these people. And he gives a reason to his request, although he ketuv b'sefer Yashar. It's all written in that book Sefer Yashar, actually more. Although ken ketuv Sefer Yashar shesham kara brit negi kol amcha, as said, like we said, it's talking about when God made a covenant opposite everybody and says, I will do these wonders. Shevtiach la'asog nes galoi, that he promised that he would do an open miracles in this, in the time of the wars with the Amorites. And therefore I Joshua, request that the sun stands in Givon. And it's the sun stood at the beginning, right there, and he says, okay, the sun should stand there. Shadamamahu hesek, and that the standing means that it stops its movement. That from the time, the moment that it came out from the mouth of Joshua, from the time he just opened his mouth, he didn't even finish the statement. That's when the sun stopped. So now it just comes to tell you at what place and how long the sun stood there. And it says, Yamod Hashemesh, when it says the sun stood, that stood in a high noon, as it were, that it remained in that manner, and it dragged it away for a whole day. For 24 hours, the sun didn't move. Wants to say that in the matter of this time of revenge, it didn't need such a long time. And still, the sun didn't hurry to set. Because while the sun and the moon were not moving, the rest of the constellations were moving. So if the sun would remain less than 24 hours where it was, then what would happen is everything up in the celestial heavens would be messed up. Think about what he's saying. Okay, think about what he's saying. I stopped the sun. Okay, everything's moving, right? Everything's on orbit, so everything's moving. So if I stop the sun for 12 hours, whatever, 2 hours, everything else is going to be out of sync. So what I have to do is I have to stop at 24 hours. That way everything will come back into sync. That's what he's arguing. We could argue this all day long, but it's I'm not going to, but that's what he's saying. Okay, so it says Kikol Kochavim Yesh Lehem Matzav Miyuchad L'Chol Echad B'Nekuda Acher Neged Hashem, because every star has a specific place where it has to be opposite the moon. V'lo Yeshnu Mitzavo Zeh Merchako Min Hashem She'olam, and it cannot change. V'Im Hayeh Shemesh Atz Lavo Alcha Yudbeit Sha'ol L'Mashal. So let's say the sun set after 12 hours. Hayah Mikarev Neged Kochavim She'om Dim Merchok Mimena Kirachok Mizrach Mizmarav. Then the stars that normally would be on one side would be on the other side now. It'd be a mirror image. So you have to distance it from that opposite stars. And then that would remain a new way to see them, to see the earth, as it were. And that would be an impossibility, right? Because again, let's put everything back into the picture. I have the sun, the moon, and the royal family. Okay, what we call the stars, the royal family. Okay, so now what happens is I stop something, put it out of sync. If I don't put it back into sync, when I start the thing going again, so then back to normal, then I'll have different constellations there. I'll be all messed up. And we can't do that. Okay, people have to know what's on what side. I mean, it doesn't make sense otherwise. So that's why the Malbim is saying that he had to wait 12 hours, because otherwise it would be reversed. It would be like a mirror image. Like I said, scientifically, I don't know if this anything really holds up, but because, and I know I shouldn't be laughing about it, it's my lack of understanding, not anybody else's, but if I have this gigantic orbit and I stop for 24 hours, so I'm going, and the gigantic orbit is going like this. That's all it is. It moved like this. It wouldn't really, it's not going around everything. It's not like the sun. When we see it, when we're circling like this. We're going like this, what?
Yeah.
Right, we're going like this, and we're going around. It's us moving, and we see certain things, and in relation to that, fine. Okay, but we understand that. So at certain times I'll see one thing, at certain times I'll see the winter sky, the summer sky. Okay, fine. Just if I would stop something for one day, again, in the gigantic wheel up there, if you will. So then I've just moved a little bit. I haven't moved around the entire. I haven't done a full revolution. So if I haven't done a full revolution, what is the Malbim bothering me about? You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah.
I've moved this far. I went from here to here. From here to you guys. From here to here. That's all I've done. So I haven't really changed perspective. That's my problem with what he's saying. It's a lack of my understanding. I'm saying that straight. It's lack of my understanding of what he wants to get to, because it just doesn't make sense no matter how you look at it. Even if I look at it from their point of view, that everything's going around us. So what? I've moved a little bit. I haven't moved the major part. Okay. Hopefully one day I'll figure this out. But until that point, I'll just go with the Malbim and say, this is what he's saying. Okay. So he says, so let me just finish this. Okay. So I think I got this far. You said it right. So once you start the whole thing going up, then it'll go back to normal. So so therefore, that's further proof that the sun and the moon only remain stationary for one full day. Because the movement from east to west, in that sort of situation, but the other stuff that was moving, that didn't stop. Because if that was the case, you'd have to hold everything for a year. Nothing can move for a year. And then that would Shina Sidro Masavo Neged Shem Yerech Amchom Rishon. And then that would change the place of where the everything is holding. Im Amda O Az Mitnua Hamizrachet Kolzeh Halcha Mahalech Male Echad Lamara. So then the sun with the standing, and then the moving to the east and all this, it would move from one way to the west. So it would be forced to stand there for more than 24 hours until all of the stars came to the place that they were going from the east, from the west. Sorry, Kishanoda, the Ma'ayan, the Techuna. That's why it has to say a full 24 hours. We're going to stop there. Like I said, to explain it more than I did, it is befuddled that one. I have no idea what he's talking about. But he's taking it as is Rashi, and most people take this as, for those who want to know, a stopping of something from moving.
Yeah.
Sun stood where it was, and the moon stood where it was. Everything stood where it was. So did we move? Did it move? Did it not? I don't know. I'm not sure how it works.